Last class we stopped by uh, the first friendship meeting between Aziz and Mrs. Moore in the mosque, and we can remember that Aziz is a very gentleman in his friendship with this old lady who is out of her British club for a reason that we discussed last class as well. Why is Mrs. Moore out of the British club? Simply because, well, Mrs. Moore is fed up with the British musical play that she has already seen in England. And that's why she no longer wants to re-watch it again in the British club. That's why she is out. And when she is out, she is not out within the walls of the British zone, but she is out to the Indian zone in a holy mosque or a worshipping house of God. Aziz meets her, and of course we have discussed what the conversation how the conversation ran. Aziz can realize that she is a fresh woman in India, a visitor. Mrs. Moore is a visitor, and she is visiting her son, who turns out to be, who is her son? Mrs. Moore's son is none other than the city magistrate. His name is Ronnie Heaslip. His name is Ronnie Heaslip. We're coming to that name later. Well, a little conversation then is stricken between Aziz and Mrs. Moore, and Aziz suggests a very noble and gentle suggestion. What does he suggest? To escort Mrs. Moore back to the club, to walk with Mrs. Moore back to the British club on foot. Well, why is this offer? Remember, Aziz is tired, he's hungry, he's maybe angry about what has happened, about Magic Calendar, the missing out of the appointment, how the Tonga was usurped by the British women. I think this was last class discussion. But today he is a very gentle man who is offering to make safe of the lady's return to the British club, because he has a reason. India's night life is full of dangerous creatures. He mentions there could be snakes, there could be leopards, he mentions tigers. Some tigers fall in villages at night. There are also some dangerous reptiles like beetles and big spiders in the territory. So Aziz, who knows India better, is offering Mrs. Moore a very gentle suggestion. He says, I have an offer. I want to escort. What is to escort? Escort is to go with someone, to walk with someone until he reaches his destination. What do you think this is to be out of this man, out of Aziz? Is this rude? Is this outrageous? Or is it kind? Very kind of him. Yeah, very kind of him. And it's clear, I say, Mrs. Moore is a very innocent lady who does not know how India's nightlife looks like. And that's why she never counted for that. Well, therefore, Aziz suggests to escort Mrs. Moore back to the British club. We can say safely that this is the first successful friendship in the novel. Dr. Aziz finds out that Mrs. Moore is the mother of the city magistrate. The mother of the city magistrate. His name, what's his name? His name is Ronnie Heaslop. His name is Ronnie Heaslop. Once Aziz and Mrs. Moore reach the British club, Mrs. Moore invites Aziz to join in, but Aziz refuses to go in. Why? The British club is only meant for the British subject, for the British people. Aziz has got no option to go in. That's why he refuses to go in and he just goes back home on foot. What can you call this? Another evidence. Another evidence of what? Of discrimination between the two ethnicities. Now, Mrs. Moore is in the British club. Well, she is clearly missing because the British club has been hosting her to offer a welcome party for the two visitors. Who are the visitors? The visitors is not only Mrs. Moore and another lady called Adila Quested. So Mrs. Moore sees her son in the British club. The national anthem is being played. The British officers and settlers were standing still and saluting the flag. The play Cousin Kate has already ended. The acting and the presentation of that play on stage has already ended. And normally they finish up their activities in the club by standing up very stiffly and very seriously to salute the British flag as they listen to the national anthem. Mrs. Moore does not understand all of these techniques and protocols because she is not part of an occupation force. She is not part of the colonialism. She is just a visitor. Well, she sees her son, Ronnie Heaslop, who is the city magistrate, and he's been looking for her. And Ronnie learns from her that she was outside the British club, talking and spending some time with an Indian doctor. Now, how do you think Ronnie Heaslop will feel about this? Is he going to feel happy? He is not going to be happy. He, on the other hand, got furious. Ronnie is furious to learn that his mother has been out into an Indian mosque alone with an Indian man. So that's why he taunts her. He reproaches his mother. He taunts her. He blames her. Mom, this is not Liverpool. This is not London. This is not Manchester. This is India under the British colonialism. What he did was wrong. You can't go out of the British zone alone, unguarded and unnoticed, just to be communicating with an Indian. That's too dangerous. Why? Because his mother apparently does not understand the danger of what she has done. From whose perspective? It is only from Ronnie Heaslop's perspective, because he understands that, Mrs. might be mistaken for a British force. She could be, kidnapped, killed, whatever. Is that clear? So, Mrs. Moore just tells everybody in the British club, Mrs. Moore tells everybody that to she wanted to spend some time, some interesting time, and watch India, and watch the real Indians. Adila Quested also said that. Who is Adila Quested? Why is Mrs. Moore in India?
Mr. Turton, I'm longing to see something of the real India.
Why is Mrs. Moore in India? Wait. Here. Mrs. Moore is in India in order to attend her son's wedding party. Ronnie Heaslop is going to get married. And, as a mother, she wants to attend the wedding party. Who is Ronnie Heaslop going to marry? He is going to marry the other lady who has had a passage to India with Mrs. Moore. So Mrs. Moore does not come to India alone. She has not traveled to India alone. Another lady called Adila Quested was with her. So how many guests do we have? We got 2 guests, Mrs. Moore and Adila Quested. Mrs. Moore is the mother, Adila Quested is the fiancée. And both women came for the same man, who is Ronnie Heaslop. Well, Adila Quested, as you can see, the name suggests something. Adila's name suggests something. Quested. Quest. What's a quest? When you say someone is on a quest, what's a quest? A quest is a mission. So Adila's name suggests something about her character. She is a researcher. She is a researcher, someone who likes to do researches on anthropology, study of societies. Adila Quested is in name as in nature. In name as in nature. لما نقول شخص ما in name as in nature، هذا تعبير كذا معناها اسم على ايش يا اخواتي يسمى؟ اسم على مسمى. تعرفون بالمصطلح هذا، يقول لك فلان اسم على مسمى، يعني his name tells a lot about his character. Miss Adila Quested, the lady who is going to marry Ronnie Heaslop, is already on a quest. She is in India not only to marry Ronnie Heaslop, but also to see real India. That's why I'm asking here, what is Adila's quest? She's got 2 missions. What is Adila's quest? First of all, to see real India. She is an agnostic researcher who loves to do researches on people. Second mission, what is Adila's second mission? To marry Ronnie Heaslop. So, how many visitors do we have in this play, in this novel? 2 visitors. We've got Mrs. Moore, the mother, and we've got the fiancée, who is Adila Quested. In the British club, Mrs. Moore, Adila Quested, and other British officials, sit at the same place and they talk about India. Miss Adila Quested says, I want to see real India. I want to discover real Indians. Well, Mr. Turton, who was listening and who is also hosting the session, Mr. Turton, who is the collector. Who is Mr. Turton? He is the collector. That's the name, and that is the position.
I tell you what, if you really want to meet some of our Aryan brothers, how about a bridge party?
And not the game.
No, a party to bridge the gulf between East and West. We can produce almost any type you like. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, even a Parsi.
He has an offer. He offers to arrange a bridge party. You can see that Miss Adila Quested wants to see real Indians, to see real India, to to be in contact with Indians. Well, he has got an offer. What is his offer? To arrange a bridge party. As he says, the bridge party which will bridge the gap between the West and the East. Well, that is very highly positive, but let's see how it was set to application. What is bridge party? I can understand the meaning of bridge party. Bridge, what's bridge? Bridge, جسر. Party, حفلة. Then he is just saying that instead of you, Mrs. Moore, going out, that's his implicated meaning. Instead of you going out at night alone to venture into the Indian zone to talk with Indians, we can organize a better offer, a better solution to invite Indians to the British Club within a party that Mr. Turton suggests to name the Bridge Party. Well, then why does he suggest that? First of all, to allow Mrs. Moore and Adila Quested to see the real Indians in the British zone as they wish. That's number one. That's reason number one. He can understand that Mrs. Moore and Adila Quested want to be in contact with Indians. Okay, let Indians come over instead of the British going there into their own territories. Second reason, or second hidden reason, this is of course the surface reason, surface meaning of the reason. Well, let's go into the connoted meaning, or let's say the connoted reason, the hidden reason. As we are going to see about the details of the British Club, Mr. Turton wants to make fun. He wants to make fun of Adila's and Mrs. Moore's request to see real Indians. He wants just to patronize Adila and her prospective mother-in-law, to make fun of their request. Why? Why to make fun of their request? Why to patronize? What is to patronize someone? To compromise in order to get to something or to get something. You following? طيب كيف وصلنا إلى هذا؟ طبعا هذا السبب الثاني لن نصل إليه إلا بعد أن نتعرف على تفاصيل وفعاليات الحفلة التي قادها مستر تيرتون والتي أقامها على شرف الضيوف. How did the bridge party go? How can he explain the bridge party with one word? How to explain it with one word? The bridge party is ironic, or was ironic. What is an irony? An irony is a contradiction. مفارقة, a very strange contradiction that would lead us either to make fun of something or to ask questions about that. So the bridge party, what do you think? The bridge party was successful? No, it was ironic. كيف ironic؟ متناقض مع ايش يا اخوات يعني؟ متناقض مع bridge party، الاسم. متناقض مع الاسم. Bridge means you have to bridge the gap. تجسير ايش؟ تجسير العلاقات بين الثقافتين. هذا معنى bridge party. So the bridge party is supposed to bridge the gap between the British and the Indians, just like Mr. Turton says. Mr. Turton says, yeah, it's going to be a bridge party. And he claims that it's going to bridge the gap. تعبر الهوة بين البريطانيين والهنود. And organize a welcome party for the guests. Who are the guests? Mrs. Moore and Adila question. But in fact, the bridge party has been very superficial and fake, dubious. It was wrong. It does not offer what it says. It does not give what it takes. Why? For the following reason. It furthered the gap. That's why. The party furthered the gap. It does not bridge the gap. It furthered the gap. Well, how can you know that? Give examples. Well, in the invitation cards, Indian women were instructed not to come to the party in purda. That's the first lame function. That's the first step. Invitation cards were sent to many important and unimportant figures or Indian figures in the town. But the invitation, something is wrong with the invitation card. What is it? It says that Indian women are not welcome. They are not favorable to wear purda. What's purda? Purda is the Indian national women attire. It's the national Indian women dress. If someone invites you over and gives you this condition that you don't wear your Islamic hijab, will you answer the call? Will you answer the invitation? No. Why not? Because he looks down on what I wear. He clearly, apparently, he is making fun of what I wear. He wants me to wear what he wears or what she wears. That is inappropriate. Very inappropriate. You following? So, first example is the attire. The invitation card was lame. The invitation process was very lame and unacceptable because the British wanted the Indian women, particularly the Indian Muslim women, not to wear the Muslim purda. You know the purda? You know, with the purda, the Indian woman she has to cover her head, her hair. She's got to cover her body, which is Islamic way. But British men does not want this. Well, number two, there were two kinds of food. In the party, there were two kinds of food. There were two kinds of people, in fact, Indians and British. But what about the food? Look at the picture. Can you see what's going on in the picture here? British are on one side. Indians, look at the Indians. They are on the other side. Do British and Indians sit together? No. What about the food, the British food? Do we have Indians sitting at the same tables? No. So British sit at tables marked only for the British and eat British food. There were Indian food and British food. The Indian food was served on tables mapped for the Indians, while the British food on tables, the British food was on tables mapped for the Anglo-Indians. Do they mix up? No, they don't mix up. Is that clear? Now, this is on the level of food. Let's get to the organization level. Anglo-Indians did not talk elaborately and freely with the Indians, with the Indian visitors, because of the language barrier, because of the language obstacle. The British, the Anglo-Indians, can't speak Hindi or Hindu. They can't speak the language, their own, the natives' language. And the Indians can't speak English. So usually we have got a barrier. What's a barrier here? An obstacle. في حاجز, في مشكلة. Alright? And normally the British and the Indians were separated. They were not mixing together. Even when Anglo-Indians pass to salute the Indians, still we have got guards to push the Indians away. We have got some protocol that would not allow Indians to touch or to shake hands with British. So it was not a warm party of friendship. Do we have real friendship in here? No. Do you have real friendship? We don't have. As you can see, it's very awkward. Well, Mrs. Moore and Adila Quested have got to deal with this because it is for them. The party was organized for them. But on the administration level, the party was not successful. It was very terrible. In the bridge party, you can see Adila Quested now. Can you see Adila Quested now? And there is, who do you think this is? Ronnie Hislop? No, that's not Ronnie Hislop. Ronnie Hislop was very arrogant in the party. He even could not come close with the Indians. Adila Quested in the bridge party got acquainted to a liberal principal of college called Mr. Cyril Fielding. He is sort of like welcomed by the Indians, and he welcomes the Indians. The only Anglo-Indian who is in direct contact with the Indians was someone called Mr. Cyril Fielding. And who is that? He is the principal of the college. The dean of the college, he is the only Anglo-Indian who has been in contact with the Indians guest in the bridge party. For Adila Quested, this is good, because for her, this man is going to be something like a translator, a very easy access to knowledge, because he knows, Mr. Fielding knows a lot about the Indians. And that's why Adila wants to see them, to talk to them, to be in contact with them. Well, in the bridge party, this was not offered to them because of the protocols. The British enforced protocols that governs the relationship and the contact between the Indians and the British. Adila Quested wanted more freedom. She wanted more freedom with her contact with the Indians. And that's why she thinks that Mr. Fielding can manage another meeting, another party with Indians, so that she is very quite familiar, or to get very familiar with the Indian culture.
I don't understand people inviting guests and not treating them properly. You and Mr. Turton are the only people who've made any attempt to be friendly. It makes me quite ashamed.
It's awkward, I agree, here at the club.
I envy you being with Indians.
I tell you what, if you and Mrs. Moore would care to meet one or two, it's easily arranged.
I'd love to. I'm sure she would too.
We've an old Hindu professor down at the college who'll tell you all about reincarnation and destiny. You might even be persuaded to sing.
I'd like that. Tell me, do you know a Dr. Aziz?
I know of him. I've never actually met.
Mrs. Moore says he's charming.
Good. Well, invite him too.
Good.
What message can you learn from the bridge party? Well, friends should be totally equal. The message is that friendship cannot be obtained, cannot be established unless on grounds of equality and equity. Friendship is supposed to remove all social, political, racial, religious barriers or decorum, protocols. If you want to have a friend, you cannot act superiorly to that guy. You cannot act as his superior. He should not act as your inferior or inferior to you. So inferiority, superiority should be removed for a good friendship between any two person. Not only British or Indian, it's about almost any two persons. So that's the message that we get, and this message is what we learn from the British Club. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.